Hey guys, it's Jen. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I use Blue Apron to make life easier as a working mom. This video is not sponsored by Blue Apron. I've paid for my subscription with my own money. I just thought that I would share some tips and how I use it to save me time in the kitchen. So if you're not familiar with Blue Apron, it is a meal delivery service where you can choose how many meals and servings that you want. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And also, if you're interested in trying it, I do have, I think, two free, not free, but two discount codes that I'm willing to share. So for the first two commenters, go ahead and comment that you'd like to try it, and I will share that discount code with you. There are two options available. You can get the two-person box or the family box. The two-person box obviously feeds two people, and the family box feeds four. I kind of alternate back and forth between the family box and the two-person box. I probably get this delivered 2 to 3 weeks out of the month. The weeks that I get the family box delivered, that's 2 meals that I don't have to think about during the week, and the kids are super excited a lot of the times to help me cook that meal. They can help, follow the directions. It teaches them cooking skills in the kitchen, so I found that's really fun. This particular week, I decided to go with the two-person box, so these were the recipes that we got delivered. So this is the shrimp and tomato spaghettini, the Parisian steak frites, and the barbecue chicken tacos. So I'll kind of talk about how I'm going to incorporate these here in a minute. Also, in the box that you get, it comes with a very large ice pack. There's no worries about anything getting warm in there. The meat and vegetables and everything have always come cold delivered to me. Everything comes in pre-measured packages, so you have exactly how much you need. There's no food waste, and like in this box, this is the spaghetti that came in it, and then 1 can of tomatoes, and then if there are smaller items, they'll come in smaller containers, etc., etc. So for this week, I'm actually going to go ahead and make these barbecue chicken tacos and roasted sweet potatoes as a family dinner. So all I really need to add to this is some extra chicken breast, which I had on hand, an extra sweet potato, which I got at the grocery store, and then some extra cheese and corn tortillas. So with just a few extra ingredients, I can turn this into a meal that will feed my family, and it's something that I didn't have to think about. The recipe came right to me, and like I said, we've always, pretty much loved all the recipes they've sent. And so this one I'm going to turn into a family meal later on this week. For the steak frites, I'm also going to turn this into a family meal later in the week. I went ahead and picked up some extra potatoes and broccoli at the grocery store, and we had some sirloin in the freezer, and so I'm just going to go ahead and make that as a family meal as well. Another way that I like to use the Blue Apron meals is for meal prep. So what I'm actually going to show you in this video today is how I'm going to turn this meal into a meal prep to give my husband and I 2 meals that we can take to work this week, and we don't have to worry about, packing anything else or eating out, that kind of thing. And so this is the shrimp and tomato spaghettini, and it has also garlic, oregano, breadcrumbs. So let me go ahead and grab the ingredients, and I'll show you what you need for this dish. Okay, so here are the ingredients that I'm going to use for this recipe. The recipe card said that it takes about 25 to 35 minutes. The other thing I didn't mention too is that I like that these nice sturdy recipe cards come with it, so you can actually make this again with your own ingredients if you'd like to. So I'm going to use some Pacific white shrimp. These have been in the refrigerator, so they're all thawed out. I'm going to use some chopped garlic, some shallots, some spaghetti, along with a can of peeled tomatoes. They've also included some mini sweet orange peppers to use, some crushed red pepper flakes, some oregano, some panko breadcrumbs, a 1 ounce pat of butter, and then this verjuice blanc, which is basically like a tart white grape juice. I'm assuming that Normally the recipe would probably call for white wine, but since this is a delivery service, they probably can't include alcohol, so they're including that instead. So let's get started. Okay, so the next step is to pour this 14-ounce can of San Marzano tomatoes into a bowl, and then you want to like smash them up with your hands. So I'm assuming that this is supposed to be like crushed tomatoes. It's too bad my kids aren't here right now, otherwise they would like really love to do this. But that is kind of another good thing about these meals, is that they give you, you know, more ideas that maybe you didn't think of for future meals. But this reminds me that maybe I should have my kids help me make spaghetti sauce with tomatoes sometime, and they could crush them up. I bet they would have a lot of fun doing that. So I'm just going to crush these up. I've obviously cut up the garlic and the peppers, and the original recipe called for scallions, but they substituted shallots, which is fine. So I've went ahead and cut those up, and the next thing that we are going to do is make the garlic breadcrumbs. Okay, so for the garlic breadcrumbs, we're just going to heat a couple tablespoons of olive oil on medium-high heat. And then once that's hot, I'm going to put in the panko breadcrumbs along with half of the chopped garlic. Okay, so this oil is starting to warm up a bit. I'm just gonna cover the bottom of the pan and then add my breadcrumbs. I'm gonna try to sprinkle them in an even layer so they can get toasted evenly. And then I'm going to add half of the chopped garlic and then season that with salt and pepper. I don't think I mentioned this before, but the only three things that aren't included in your Blue Apron box are olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then obviously if you need water for a recipe. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this saute until the breadcrumbs are golden brown. I want to make sure that they don't burn, and so I'm going to watch it very closely. While I'm waiting for the breadcrumbs to toast up, I'm going to go ahead and get my shrimp out onto a paper towel. This will just make sure that the shrimp are dry when you put them in the pan, and that way you can get a nice sear on them. Okay, so you can see these are getting nice and toasty on one side, so I'm just going to stir them around. And then it says when these get toasted to go ahead and add the oregano, so let me grab that. I do like that this, you know, type of recipe service gives me new ideas and techniques that I might not normally try. So that's another good thing about it too. I always kind of describe it as like a kit club. You know, like I'm into scrapbooking, and so there are a lot of scrapbooking kit clubs, but this is like a kit club for people who are into cooking. I think it's just really cool to get new items delivered every week and see what you can make with them. Okay, so these are looking done. I'm going to go ahead and transfer these to a bowl. Okay, so I also forgot to mention that I have my water boiling over there for the pasta, or it's not quite boiling yet, but I'm going to bring that to a boil and add the spaghetti. Oops, sorry about that. So now it's time to cook the shrimp, so I'm just going to wipe this pan out with a paper towel the best that I can. And then I'm going to add some olive oil, and once that gets hot, I will drop in the shrimp. Okay, so it's not going to take long for this oil to get hot since my pan was already still warm. So I'm just going to make sure I have that olive oil in an even layer. My heat is on a little bit higher than medium. And then I'm just going to drop the shrimp in the pan. If you've ever cooked fresh shrimp before, you know that they don't take long at all to cook. I season these with salt and pepper. So I'm just going to let these go for about 2 or 3 minutes and then transfer them to a plate. Okay, these are just about done on one side, so I'm going to turn them. I don't want to overcook them because overcooked shrimp are very tough and rubbery, so I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Alright, so these are mostly done. I'm going to go ahead and transfer them to a bowl because I don't want them, like I said, to get overcooked. And they'll finish cooking in the tomato sauce here in a little bit. So let me get these in the bowl, and then next we're going to saute the veggies. So I'm just going to add a little bit more olive oil, and then I'm going to add the scallion that I chopped up along with the peppers, and then also the remainder of my chopped garlic. And then you want to go ahead and salt and pepper these. When you salt vegetables when they're cooking like this in a pan, it helps to draw out the moisture and help them cook a little quicker, and also kind of helps so they don't burn. So I'm just going to let this cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. Alright, so my water is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and add some salt to that. And then I've gone ahead and broken the spaghetti in half just because I'm using a smaller pot and I wanted it to fit. So I'll go ahead and throw that in and then let that cook for 5 to 6 minutes or until it's al dente. Okay, so the veggies have been sauteing for about 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add the tomatoes. And I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit so it doesn't splatter. And then at this point you can go ahead and add the red pepper flakes. And I have a confession to make. I did not follow the recipe correctly. I was only supposed to add half of the oregano to the breadcrumbs, and I obviously added the whole thing. But I have some oregano here in my cupboard, so I'm just going to add a little bit, maybe about a teaspoon. I think there was about 2 teaspoons in the bag that came in my box. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this bubble away. It says to let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes or until it's slightly thickened, and turn off the heat. I'm also going to sprinkle some salt and pepper in here just to make sure that the tomato sauce is seasoned. Okay, so my sauce has thickened up a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish it now. I'm going to add the butter. I've had this heat actually turned down to medium-low too because I don't want this to burn. So I'm going to go ahead and add the butter and the verjus blanc. Can you tell I took 3 years of French in high school? It's funny because I really couldn't speak it now. I just know how to count and say the alphabet. I can also say pass the butter, but that's about it. Okay, so I'm just going to let this kind of simmer away for a little bit until everything is combined. I'm also going to add the shrimp back to here so it can finish cooking. And make sure any juices that's left over from the shrimp in the bottom of the bowl, make sure you add that too, because that's good flavor. You don't want to lose that. I was just thinking, you know, I know there are people that don't like shrimp or don't like seafood, but if you wanted to try this recipe, I think you could totally make it with chicken, or you could even try to make it with like chicken sausage, or even like a Italian sausage, I think would be good. So I have about a minute left on my pasta. I'm just gonna let this come together and let the flavors meld, and then I'll add the pasta. Okay, so my pasta is done over here. I've turned off the pot. I'm gonna go ahead and add about a 1/4 cup of the pasta cooking water to the sauce, just to thin it out a little bit, and then you'll also get the starch from the cooking water. That'll help your sauce come together. Okay, so here is my sauce. I just tasted it. It tastes delicious. It always just surprised me how, you know, you can put together simple ingredients like this and it really just makes a delicious dish. So now I'm going to add my cooked spaghetti to the pot, or to the pan, I'm sorry, with the sauce. And you just want to, excuse me, stir this or toss it around so that all of the spaghetti gets coated with the sauce. And I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit with the heat on low, just to make sure that it stays warm and the spaghetti can soak up some of that tomato sauce. It smells really good. I'm actually kind of sad I'm doing this for meal prep and not eating it right now. Okay, I'm just gonna let this sit for a little bit and I'll be right back to show you what I'm gonna put it in. Okay guys, so I tasted the spaghetti. It's delicious. I felt like it needed a little bit more salt, so I went ahead and added that. I have these meal prep, I guess they're not technically meal prep containers, but I got them at, I got them at Costco on sale. If you're watching this video now, this ad is still current. They were like a really large package of about 9 containers for $22, which I thought was a really good price. I'm slowly trying to transition all of my plasticware and Tupperware over to glass, because I just feel like it doesn't stain as easily. I don't have to worry about heating it up in the microwave and melting it. It, you know, washes in the dishwasher way better. So I'm trying to switch over to that. Anyway, I'm just gonna package these up in these meal prep containers, and then we will have these for work this week. I'm super excited. Oops. I actually love doing kind of like fancier meal prep things like this for work, because it just makes me more excited to eat lunch, and I don't have to worry about going down to the cafeteria or ordering lunch. I don't have to spend money on it. It just makes it so much easier. And this is actually a really generous portion. I probably could have gotten 3 out of this, but since I'm not serving any bread with it, I figured it was okay to just split this up into 2. Okay, so now that my pasta is in there, I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle half of the breadcrumbs on one and half of the breadcrumbs on the other. I actually tasted some of these too. They're like really garlicky. It tastes really good. Alright guys, so that is it. Here is how I use Blue Apron to meal prep for my work lunches for my husband and I. Again, if you're interested in checking out Blue Apron, I will leave a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some inspiration for your own cooking, and have a great day. Bye. See you in my next video.